All right, hey, welcome back to the Showing Up series on the Legacymakers Podcast. Today, we're talking about showing up when your kids might be in a tantrum and kind of going through that and working through that with your kids. The one thing that I was taught and that I've kind of been, kind of trying to remember is that behavior is communication. Mm-hmm. And when our kids are going through something and they don't know how to express themselves, they don't know how to talk about their feelings. Mm-hmm. They don't have language for the sensations in their body. And so they might be feeling really angry or really, really upset or really disappointed. And for them, that looks like rolling around on the floor, stomping their legs and screaming. That's what that looks like. But it's important that we remember that this behavior it's communication. They're trying to communicate something. And so it's up to us as parents to try and understand what it is they're trying to communicate, which is very hard to do. It's hard to crack that code. And so today we're going to kind of talk about how can we crack that a little bit? How can we come into their world and come down to their level and kind of try and understand what are they going through? What do they need? What are they dealing with?
Yes.
And I think it's interesting to think about, when you're a child, your brain is so fresh. I mean, it's so malleable. It's basically just mush. I mean, let's just be real.
Mush brain.
Mush brain. Mashed potatoes or oatmeal, it's mush brain. But in a good way. Their brains aren't developed, and really no one's brain is really even fully developed until you're 24, 25. Mm-hmm. And so, you have a kid here who's 4, 5, 3, 2, and yeah, of course, like they don't have the skill set to communicate and express themselves. Mm-hmm. So how do we kind of show up for them when they're dealing with that and working through that and having that episode in a sense?
I mean, I think it's multi-layered, right? Because kids are tantruming about very different things.
Yes.
Yep.
I think one key element to showing up in a tantrum is holding your ground, like not giving into a tantrum. I think that is never the answer. To allow them to determine through a tantrum what they're going to receive or how they're going to
hold the line.
So I do think that's like the number one thing is never giving in, even if the tantrum is as mild as complaining, right? It's not giving them what they want because they're complaining. But I think within that's like a baseline. But I do think there's like such variance based off of what is causing the tantrum. Like sometimes I think it's appropriate to showing up means actually just walking away, right? Like putting them in a separate area and they can express their emotions there, but they're not allowed to express that around other people. Yeah. And that's not okay in this setting.
Express it in that way.
Yeah,
in the way that they're
in this
doing
setting.
Yeah.
But other times it's stepping in with them, I think, and helping them with coping skills, helping them calm down, helping them express what they're feeling once they're ready.
Yeah, it's helpful for them to know that like what they're feeling is okay. Emotions aren't bad. Emotions aren't like they don't make you a bad person. And it's important that we help them know that like what they're feeling is okay. Like emotions don't mean anything. I mean, they mean things, but like, it doesn't mean that they're bad. We can't be around them. They're just feelings. But it's how they're going about expressing that emotion is, in the form of a tantrum. It could be violence. It could be, hitting. It could be screaming. And of course, we have to train them through time, over time. But even in that moment, we have to train them that like, there's other ways to communicate what they're feeling besides screaming, kicking, hitting, those types of behaviors.
Biting, throwing, name it.
Biting, throwing, yeah, exactly. All that stuff. Yeah. There's other ways, and so we have to make them feel like they're seen, they're heard. Yeah. Those things are heard.
Yeah, I think it's important to know as a parent, when you're, depending on the level of severity, right? Are the kids just like whining, throwing a little fit, or are they straight up tantruming, like can't hear you? They're in that, their lids are flipped. They're not there, somebody's in the body, but they're not home kind of a thing. We've seen that happen so often with Grant where it's like, oh, he's not, there's no ain't nothing going to happen to fix this kind of a thing.
Right.
You know, they're just out of their minds a little bit. And it's important to know that that is not the time to correct or to teach. You know, they're not there for that moment.
Nope.
Your job is to just make sure everybody's safe. Nobody's getting hit by cars or like nobody's throwing cars and hurting others or whatnot. Keep everybody safe and like do your best. I have found it was so hard in those early years of tantrums to like keep myself regulated. I was very codependent with Grant, and when he wasn't okay, I wasn't okay. And I didn't recognize there was this unhealthy relationship I was having with my son where it was like, I have to fix everything. You know, the problem solver in me wanted to, you know, if you have a tantrum, I wouldn't go and give you like whatever you want to fix it, but I would rack my brain trying to figure out how do I get him out of this state. And I just realized over time, like, you know, as I got older as a parent and more mature, it's like, okay, I just got to keep myself under control. I've got to like take some deep breaths. If I need to remove myself to calm myself down, that's okay. But I just need to like let this thing settle. It'll settle, and then come back and try to teach, instruct.
That's a big one.
One thing I found also is very important kind of after the tantrum, to show up with your kids in those moments is to help explain like, what just happened to your body? Did you feel that? Like what was going on in you? And try to put language to what they're experiencing, because I'm sure as a kid,
and identify responses in their body.
I think you were feeling mad. You looked mad. Here's what mad feels like. Did you feel it in your stomach? Did you feel it on your chest? You know, and so you start teaching them the words of the emotions they're feeling, where in their body they're feeling it, because there's this mind-body connection, right? You store emotions in your body and you feel them in certain ways. Help him identify that, and then also like, what could we have done that was a better way to like process that emotion, you know? Totally. You could have used your words, or you could have done this, you know, you could have stomped your feet instead of thrown cars at me, you know? And so start giving them more tools as they get older and grow in maturity and in age. But that is the long game.
True.
Right? That's the long game. Like they still tantrum over things, even though we've given them the words and we've told them how they're feeling. And so you just got to stay in it and show up over and over again.
Yeah. I was reminded of, this has been one of my biggest learnings, still learning. In Proverbs 15:1, it says a soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. And I feel like that's been so true in a tantrum that like if it's easy to match their emotion, right? Like they're rising and you rise with them. But that just makes it worse every time. And so learning that if they're rising, I just continue to stay soft. And that does tend to, I say I do this. I don't often.
We're growing.
But that when I do that, it does tend to loosen their defenses, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, it's so good.
Yeah, that's a good one. I've certainly noticed that personally with Grant is if you match his level of intensity, he will take it even higher. And it only took a couple of times to realize, okay, no more. I can't. I've got to keep my cool, hold the line, but discerning what he needs, whether it's like you said, Meg, I'm going to let you process through this one. Obviously, you don't want me in the room. You're telling me you don't want me in the room. So I'm going to give you a moment. I'm right here when you need me. Or it's like, okay, you're really struggling with this one. I think you need my help. And a tool that I've liked to use, and I've been using this more with Jade, our 2-year-old, is a change of environment. You know, it's like, hey, bud, let's go downstairs and outside for a little bit. And just, I want to show you something.
Game changer.
I don't know what I'm going to show him, but it's like, let's just get out of here, right? Because I'm sensing like there's something about you're in this room, you're surrounded by these things, and you need a change of scenery. And there's something about like you get outside in the fresh air, and it's like you get them like something close to their face, something to focus on, especially with our 2-year-old Jade. It's like, let me pick you up. I'm going to take you outside. Let's go look at some flowers. And it's all of a sudden, it's just like the tears go away. The smile comes back. It's like, okay, you needed a change of scenery. You know, now like you're back online. I can communicate to you. It's like, were you not happy that daddy gave you that? Oh, I see. Okay, well, that's an easy fix, right? So change of scenery.
So good. Side note, kind of a tangent here, but on that same note, I think it's just a great analogy between, our relationship relationship with God and us. You know, we're his kids. And I mean, how often do we find ourselves in our own little tantrums? You know, with God. Maybe not. We're not rolling around on the floor and stuff, or violently reacting. You know, but inside, I'm like frustrated. I'm fuming. I'm impatient. You know, we got to get. You know, whatever. But you know, how often? I mean, God knows exactly what we need, even when we don't realize what we need ourselves. And it's like nothing but a change of scenery solves the problem. It just fixes it, and we're good. I'm like, oh, well, I guess I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was dealing with, but something I was thinking of too, just that's more practical, is actually, you kind of mentioned it, but we have these like body charts, little papers that like we printed out that have just the, you know, outline of the body. And I think, you know, we've been talking about obviously showing up in a tantrum, but I think it's important to put in habits, you know, kind of showing up before the tantrum in a sense. Now, obviously, these don't translate to perfect results as kids, you know, they're children. But like you said, it's the long game. And we're playing the long game when we're showing up before the tantrum, and we're helping coach them and teach them and train them how to recognize where they feel certain sensations in their body, whether it's their forehead or their neck or their throat or their chest or their stomach. And helping them understand what those sensations are usually tied to certain emotions. So we've got this like body chart. And then we've also got like we take them out of the room sometimes. Sometimes our son...
Wait, finish the body chart. Then there's like colors that are equated to different emotions. So they color the part of the body of where they're
red is like anger.
I felt it on my shoulders.
And that is so helpful. And they love that. They love to color it in, and they love to circle it. It's super engaging for them.
Their favorite is hungry in the stomach.
Always. I felt this 5 times today, Mom.
They love it. And then we've got these other charts. They're like faces, picture faces. And so sometimes we'll, like, you know, Jeremiah, sometimes we'll take him to another room and we'll just kind of hold him. That's a lot of times, you know, at least for him,
some kids,
he needs physical touch. He needs to know that he's still loved. We still got him, and we're going to wrap him up, and we're just going to sit with him, and he's going to be mad, and he's still going to feel certain things. But we just take him to a different room, and we just kind of pull out this chart, and we just say, hey, which one is you know, looks like your face right now? He's like, that one, you know, or whatever.
It is wild though. As soon as
Changes.
When we do that, it's like he is screaming, and you say, let's go get the feelings chart, and he immediately calms down. He's like, okay, and sits down, points to his face.
Wow.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, he loves that.
I love that.
Maybe he feels empowered in that moment, or he likes the feeling of knowing what's happening inside his body.
And even like this time that is not like a correction time. It's like, oh, get this time away to like figure out what I'm feeling.
He feeds on that. Even just one-on-one. He just wants to like, he wants to have it. Is there any other like thoughts on like how to show up in a tantrum before a tantrum? I think, like what you said. Regulating yourself.
Yes.
Maintaining self-regulation.
Deep breaths.
Deep breaths.
One other thing I wanted to say was just the importance of studying your kids and kind of recognizing what sets one off from another, right? Because your kids are just so different.
That's good.
What makes Grant tantrum is so different from what makes Jade tantrum. And so as a parent, the purpose isn't to, you know, adjust all things in life so that they get what they need and, you know, everything's perfect for them.
Right.
But if you can, if you know what sets your kiddo off, and if you know that that's avoidable, you know, then do it. If you know that, you know, Grant, for example, he's getting really into, oh my goodness, like throwing tantrums because a certain shirt feels a certain way on him. And for a while it was like, I'm going to win this battle. You wear that shirt or nothing at all, you know? And it's like, oh, why is this even a big deal? Okay, so now I know that you are prone to tantrum when this happens. Cool. You go pick out your shirt from here on out, you know? And so if you can start to learn your kiddo, study them, observe them, and make sure that you're doing what you can as a parent to not antagonize or exacerbate. What's the word?
Exacerbate.
Thank you, that word. If you don't do that to your kiddo, then I think that's just our role as parents to help them.
Totally.
In that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good thought.
I love it. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode on the Show Up series, Showing Up in a Tantrum. We got a couple more coming at you, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching.